Bonjour.
Bonjour, Space Lizard.
Bonjour. How you doing, man?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. It's been 24 hours, isn't it? Talks about since we saved this for the next day.
Yeah, man.
We can round up the news. To be fair, there wasn't a great deal.
No, I was hard pushed trying to find some, to be fair.
And I'm going to start off with a good bit of news.
Okay.
A new Hellboy movie in the works.
Yes.
Just been announced.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, director from Crank. I don't know if anyone remembers that weird, Jason Statham movie.
There's two of them, wasn't there? You had Crank,
Yeah.
and there was Crank
Years ago.
2. The second one was called like Crank 2 High Voltage or something like that.
Yeah, and they were too mental. They were full on film. Well, I didn't see the second one, but the first one. So I've got to say, that's an interesting, because Hellboy for me is a character that does need that little bit. I know Guillermo del Toro did his bit.
Yeah.
And it was good. I love those two films. But unless he's going to do that, it's a bit like getting someone to imitate Tim Burton. If you get Tim Burton to do it, or you go your way.
Yeah, because there's another one that was released a couple of years. It was David Harbour as Hellboy, wasn't it?
Yeah, did you watch it?
No, I stayed clear of it, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I'm surprised to hear that they're doing another one, and it is based on, and it's based on this story, which I also find intriguing.
What's that storyline?
The Crooked Man, it's called.
Okay.
It's only a 3-issue miniseries, and I'll tell you what, it's not action heavy, but just a quintessential Hellboy story written by the creator Mike Mignola. Actually, I don't know what year that is. I don't know how old it is.
So
15 years old. 15 years ago they released that.
Wow. So I think from my point of view with Hellboy,
yeah,
the first two were all right.
Yes.
And then that other one was, the trailer looked so bad I didn't even want to go and see it, so I never saw it. I could be totally wrong. It could have been all right, and it was just a very bad put together trailer.
No.
Oh, okay. I think
who used to be extenders in it.
I think moving forward with this announcement, you've got to make it significantly different.
Yes, and I think choosing the Crooked Man, I hope so, because like I say, it isn't action. It isn't him with his guns out and him with his big fist and all that. It's more of a mystical. It's set in the Appalachian Mountains in America. It's about witchcraft, and the Crooked Man is someone who haunts the mountains. And meets an ex-witch who got indoctrinated by a witch back in the Second World War, and then something bad happened to her, and then Hellboy helps this bloke from then, so it's...
Is that one of your favourite Hellboy storylines then?
I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite. I've enjoyed all of them.
Okay.
The ones that they kind of riffed off in those first two films, the good thing, and I know this is what we spoke about so many times about good adaptions, is those first two Hellboy films weren't straight adaptions of any one story. They picked the best bits out, like the origin story in the first Hellboy film from the Second World War.
Yeah.
They've obviously plucked out of the first comics, but they kind of unraveled his origin story in the comics through quite a load of, because they was all kind of mini-series. They was just he brought out, I think it was the first 5. It was one little short story in Dark Horse Presents, and it was a 5-issue mini-series, then 4. This one was 3. So it was all different. He just told the story he wanted to tell at the time. So I wouldn't say Crooked Man is my favourite. Great artist Richard Corben from the underground comics of the 60s and 70s. So it was a real mashup of style. Mike Mignola's writing style, Corben's art. But nevertheless, like you said, an intriguing choice to make a movie out of. But are they thinking they can do this maybe on a cheaper budget?
Yeah, maybe where the potentially, like in live action, the franchise has been damaged by the last Hellboy movie. Yeah. It makes sense to do a smaller story.
And they try to do it actiony. I know you haven't seen it, and I only saw the first 15, 20, 25 minutes of it. But what they try to do is make Hellboy a superhero.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, straight away.
No, just don't do that. So yeah, and now Jack I don't know how you pronounce his name, Jack Kesey or Casey. He's going to be Hellboy, which again is an interesting choice. A younger guy, not that well known. I know he's done more TV than he has movies, but the only movie I could recognise him from was as Black Tom in Deadpool 2.
Yes, yeah, in the prison.
Yeah, with the dreads.
Yeah.
Who gets shot.
Yeah,
by,
yeah,
yeah. You killed Black Tom.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, it's interesting. I'm intrigued by that. It seems like they've gone. I'm hoping where they've gone lower budget, it's going to be more time and effort actually put into the story because you're not trying to throw in all these crazy action scenes all over the place. Yeah, so actually the story is going to be the main focus and the main driving force throughout the film.
It's like a mystery. This free issue, and obviously they've got to expand it and do away with some things and bring some bits in to make a movie out of it. I get that. But if they keep it to the mystery horror, which is exactly what that is, then I think, yeah, I'm going to be up for that.
Yeah, no, I'm intrigued by it, to be fair. It'd be interesting to see, like, when we start to get a bit more news about it and when the first trailer eventually comes out. It'd be interesting to see if what you're saying is right.
Yeah. Well, that's a bit of good news.
Nice.
But the bad news for Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw this as well.
And this is all down to their latest earnings report, the latest quarterly earnings for Funko-Pop Inc. And basically, it's cheaper for them to destroy. It's somewhere between, on their balance sheet, they're saying that they're going to, and they worded it really well. I don't know if I made a note of how they worded it, but they're basically destroying between 30 and $36 million worth of stock.
That's insane.
It's cheaper to do that. It's going to cost them, I don't know, say it costs them $500,000. It's costing them so much money to store all of this stock that they aren't selling. I mean, 30 million, let's just call it $30 million. That's a lot of Funko Pops.
I mean, I've never personally been into Funko Pops, but the fact that, I mean, with the Funko Pops, you normally see, it's normally the big franchises, isn't it? So you've normally got Marvel, Star Wars, DC, then you've got the limited edition ones. I remember seeing one in a shop and it was Jared Leto's Joker, but it was like platinum, like it looked like silvery. But to have that drop off so quickly, it's either people have got the collections they've already wanted and they haven't been able to bring anything else out new, or they've massively misjudged how much of these they're going to sell.
Yeah, or I think you're right, but maybe a combination of both. Because I agree with what your first statement, which is, I think people would only buy, maybe you might, if you're into Star Wars, you see the whole run of Star Wars Funko Pops. You didn't buy the lot. You might have bought a Boba Fett and a Vader.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Princess Leia if it looked,
yeah,
you know,
or even keep it to trilogy. So you want the original trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, you want your Luke, your Han, your Leia, your C-3PO, your R2, and your Vader.
Yeah,
and your Chewie.
I think you're right. I think you're right with both those viewpoints. I also think, added to your view of it, is I think there is no merchandise heavy creativity coming through.
No, I mean the last sort of Funko Pops I sort of saw, I think there was a Back to the Future one, I think randomly, which was quite cool. But then I think the other random one was Stranger Things.
Yeah, see, now that's pretty cool, but I don't know if they're straining with Funko, because they are just essentially a group of kids, apart from Vecna. So do you want a plastic kid with a big head? I don't know. I mean, no. Whereas character, if it's Captain America, well, it's their thing. You know, I don't have to explain it, do I? But so I don't think. But that's interesting because, like I say, I just don't think, and this is linked to my next bit of news. They rely, if you go on their website, they rely heavily on particularly Disney and then Warner Brothers, and the movie franchises, Harry Potter,
Yeah.
you know, Star Wars, movie franchise. Wow. You know, who considers that a movie franchise anymore? So apart from good old Grogu,
Yeah.
I've said for a while now, particularly at Dismal, they must, but someone somewhere must be saying, where is the lost merchandising rights? Because they would have made well, we all know the story about how much money George Lucas made of, but can you imagine now?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
literally,
mad.
where's that? Where are those billions gone?
Yeah, and then the weird thing is a lot of, like, so say for example, Star Wars, a lot of the merchandise that you see is kind of still based around the originals, and then second to that is the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So if you've got it, you've already got it. You're not going to be getting anything new. And then, okay, the only thing that's really come out of Star Wars is Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So
everyone's got their Grogu. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
For Funko Pops, I suppose Grogu's going to be a perennial, isn't it? You're just going to, which is good. A bit like with their Marvel stock, I assume they're just always going to have an Iron Man and a Captain America and a Hulk.
Right, they need to get on the Animal Avengers. Get them into Funko Pops.
Oh yeah, see, we're missing the trick. We're still missing the trick here.
We are, man.
And it's backed up. The fact that Funko Pops are in trouble is kind of backing up what I've always thought, which is they are not earning the money they used to from merchandise. And I don't know why no one's screaming about it. Because, so I've got here the top 15 Nielsen new shows for 2022.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what I haven't got. I haven't got the top 15. This is new shows. So this doesn't include, you know, say, the series of, the third series of Stranger Things, or this is just new content.
Okay.
Top 15 shows in America.
From last year.
From last year, there is nothing in the top 15 from Dismal.
Wow.
No Marvel, no Star Wars. And they did Moon Knight, I Am Groot, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk for Marvel. It's 4.
Yeah.
And they did Kenobi, Tales of the Jedi, Book of Boba Fett, and Andor.
I'm surprised Andor's not there, to be fair. But okay, what were the 15? Did it say?
That I didn't even bother with. That I didn't even bother.
It was just interesting that.
I'm assuming it'll be, off the top of my head, I bet Jack Reacher's there. I bet Stranger Things is there. This was Squid Games last year, or
I think that was the year before.
I think you're right. But
it would have had House of Dragon, probably.
Yeah, House of Dragon. Rings of Power didn't make it in there either.
Didn't it?
$1 billion. Don't even make it into the top 15. I mean, it's.
But is the Nielsen ratings, because correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the Nielsen ratings were for like more network shows. Have they expanded into just all shows?
To be fair, I've chosen. I would say that I've chosen a statistic and one of their charts that suits what I'm saying, that suits what I'm talking about. Okay. Statistics, you can pluck whatever you want from statistics. You know, I could get the stats up for all those Marvel shows and say how great they are compared to Star Trek, and we're winning the war, or we're winning the site, or get the Star Wars stats. And if they're better than Star Trek, say we're winning the war against Trek. Well, not that there is a war, but you can twist.
Yeah. Well, the proof's in the pudding, though, with the drop-offs at the box office, the slack that a lot of these shows are getting coming out of Dismal, and the fact that they're continually saying how they've got to restructure and what they need to change. Yes. If everything's all good, then you don't need to change anything. No. So the fact that they're saying we need to slow our content down, and we need to do this and change this, well, then you know something's wrong. Yeah. So I would say that's not just a stat that backs up what you're saying. The proof's in the pudding with what they're saying anyway. Yeah. Because if there's nothing wrong, the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, and like with Ant-Man, and we have spoken about it, and etc. But just take it as it was a fairly decent film. I kind of, in my style, I take the mickey out of it. I know. Yeah. But I did say, and I quote, it wasn't offensive, and I did watch it from beginning to end. Yeah. Yes, it had its problems, but nevertheless, it's not exactly a vehicle for heavy merchandise, is it? It could
No,
have been if it was a better film.
I don't know. The Jelly Dude could get some merchandise, I reckon.
That what I mean. There's plenty of opportunities in that film, like the bloke with the light head, whatever.
Yeah.
Warrior woman. The warrior. They was all very. They was really well designed characters. I thought.
Mm,
Well, you could even have an army of ants, couldn't you, with Hank Pym on top?
yeah.
My point is, where the films are only so-so at best, no one's really bothered. They're not excited, are they?
Well,
Like,
do you remember
no
when the
one runs out of
merchandise?
cinema. No
I,
kids asking their dad, "Daddy, Daddy, get me the Giant Man action."
don't you remember when the
film."
merchandise used to come out like way before? So, say for example, you've got like a big box office like superhero movie coming out. The months leading up to it, you're going to start to see all the toys appear in the shop. You then start to see that there's little toys in a bloody Happy Meal or something
That's
at
it.
McDonald's. All the merchandise came out before in the build up, and then the film comes out. Everyone goes to see it because it's built up to it, and then more merchandise is sold, and there's more, like, they sort of hold some potentially some merchandise back if it's a spoiler. Do you know what I mean? Like, if there's a certain character, they'll release another version of them. Like, for example, I know there was in the Funko Pops, just going back to the Funko Pops,
Yeah.
I know after Endgame they released the Fat Four version, Bro Four. They
Ah,
released that after afterwards. So, but what I'm saying is, you don't see that build up to a release anymore.
no.
There's no hype around the cinema release. It's just a couple of trailers and like dotted in the adverts, and you're thinking, "Oh, just get on with the show. I don't want to be watching these adverts." But there used to be a build up, and you used to get all the merchandise start to come out before, and it probably still is, but I don't see it.
No, no, I don't. I don't. Because it costs a lot of money for that licensing. Those
Mm,
big boys that Dismal will ask for millions and millions of dollars to have the merchandising rights for T-shirts or an action
mm,
figure or beach towels.
yeah,
But anyway, I just thought that was it's
it
a
is
shame.
interesting.
It's a shame, but it is connected. That merchandising is connected so intrinsically with bad content.
Yeah,
Like they can't mine it. They've got nothing, and it's all right doing a Back to the Future Funko Pop, which would be pretty cool. Do a Predator. I don't know if they've done a Predator film one,
I'm pretty sure. I remember there's a Freddy Krueger one as well somewhere,
but
and it's
they
just
are
like,
very, very limited appeal. I'm
yeah,
not saying they shouldn't do them. What I'm saying is, I perceive a company like Funko Pops Incorporated, with all the machinery and the staff and the resources you need to make all that, you need to churn them out. You can't just be selling a few boxes here and there of
yeah. But to get rid of all that supply though, like,
40 million.
surely they could have sold that off to someone else,
You
or
know what? I thought that, and why not sell it like I had shops back in the day.
mm,
If I got a liquidation stock list from Funko Pops to make it too good not to,
yeah.
I would have been in there with the shops and I would have been selling them off cheap. But a decision has to be made. That's fine. And I had the same idea as you. Why can't they just? But what that does is it devalues the brand,
Mm,
because
yeah,
then people see Funko Pops everywhere for $2.
yeah.
And I think they've just made a business decision rather than dilute the brand. I can see them honing in. I mean, because they do loads of sports stuff as well. I noticed on their website. I've never been on their website until I was kind of led there by this news story.
Mm.
But you can see that there's a massive gap there that I think the latest Nielsen news kind of linked to that Funko Pop, and I just found it interesting.
That's intriguing.
So from the sublime to the ridiculous, I started off positive. You told me, you begged me, you begged me to be a good boy, to be a good hog, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I will, But I've left. So all the hog haters, I'm getting a lot of hog haters at the moment, Liz.
Oh yeah.
Hog haters for my views, my controversial views. But when I started the channel off, I intended to be positive and I weren't going to go there. I literally said, everyone we don't go there. When it got to inclusion and diversity or anything like that,
Any messaging in content and stuff like
yes,
that, yeah, we don't go there.
gender driven. I went, we don't go there, and I will judge it on its merits.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not just going to do it for the hate clicks, you know. So everyone calm down. But it's almost like you're being left with a smaller window of opportunity not to talk about it. Like it's hardly anything at the moment that you can talk about without thinking, oh my God, did they really? They went there. And anyway, they are really, really going there with Peter Pan and Wendy. That reminds me of when they used to do a Godzilla cartoon, and they used to have the music, and it used to be Godzilla and Godzuki, the little baby. It used to go Godzilla and Godzuki.
Oh wow!
So this is Peter Pan and Wendy. They just had to do it. They just couldn't do Peter Pan live action. They done Mulan live action. They done Lion King.
But I don't know anyone that actually wanted Peter Pan live action. There was a random live action one, early noughties. You had Hook, which was sort of based off of it as well in the 90s. We've had it. We've had it. Like, how many times do you want to flog a dead horse? And don't get me wrong.
We're talking about
it's a classic story, and you've got, like I say, you've got the original animation, then you've got like the derivatives of it, like with Hook. You had a live action. I don't know how well that did, like early noughties, but with this one, okay, we know we're flogging you a dead horse, so we've got to do it differently. But don't change the character of Wendy, because Wendy was, the fact that it was like the Lost Boys were all boys, and the fact that they're in this world where they don't want to grow up. Wendy was that positive factor on the group, basically saying, look, us girls are more intelligent than you.
Yeah, and she was the strong one. She brought them all into...
Yeah, she brought them in line and brought them together, and almost helped them accept that they've got to grow up. So by changing her character and having her fighting pirates and stuff, are we going to lose what that core of that Wendy character actually is?
Oh, because she's got to fight. She's got to fight, like in the trailer. Did you notice that she's got? She's fighting two big adult men, like as if she's as if she's Lara Croft, and you can see where they're going to go with it. Wendy's going to save the day. She won't need no help from Peter Pan. Right at the end, he's diving off with his sword, and you know he's going to use the sword to go down the sails, and you can just talk about paint by numbers. The whole thing.
And then, but is that Jude Law as Captain Hook?
Yeah.
I found that a very weird choice for Captain Hook.
He's a decent enough actor. I've never really rated him, but he's not bad.
No, he could do a good Captain Hook, but I mean, for a Captain Hook, I'm just thinking of even the choice of having Jude Law. I think it's just a bit of a weird choice. You could have like a Ralph Fiennes or something like that playing that character, someone with a lot of gravitas to bring that character home. What's that?
As long as it's a white man.
Yeah, no, that's all good. But
it's just... they've got to be. It can't be any other race. That the bad guy, and this is what makes me irate now. The bad guy never gets swapped out. Not if he was white. No. They don't do it, do they? The good guy.
Honestly, don't think I'm going to be watching it, to be fair.
We aren't, but in the meanwhile, it's just going to be it's going to be a beautiful thing to mock it all the way on its descent.
Well, the trailer got a lot of...
Oh yeah, did you see that? The ratio.
Yeah, there was it was like triple the amount of dislikes, wasn't it, compared to the likes?
Oh, more than that. It's just going up and up. It's just getting ratio to hell. And the thing is that they are so dumb that the Lost Boys, and if anyone had read the original book, I bet they sat down the creative table that we use as an analogy, and I bet they just watched the original Disney film and thought, right, got all the box ticking, they've got their box ticking form out.
Yeah.
Race swap, gender swap, what else? Yeah, it's gonna be a tough ask to get a disability in there, but we'll try. But what they've forgotten is if they was intelligent, yeah, instead of
Yeah.
just gender swapping the Lost Boys and going, oh no, we can't have that. What, just a bunch of boys? They could have had any race you want in the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Any race you want. Asian, black, brown, whatever, all the colours of the rainbow. Because the point is, in this story, that the boys are silly and a bit stupid. Like Peter Pan, he just, he's jumping around and running about, and he's immature.
Boys don't grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And like you said, Wendy was kind of the matriarchal figure that kind of tells them there's a bit more to life than just mucking about, lads, kind of thing. But there's a power in that.
Yeah.
That they're losing for Wendy. So they're just making Wendy a kick-ass chick. And the Lost Boys, the idea was that they were a group of kids that got out of their prams and fell on their heads.
Yeah.
They were babies.
Yeah.
And in the book, the reason there are no girls is because they're too clever to fall out of their prams.
Yeah.
Why not? You could get that in there into that story. I don't know whether that was in the film or not. In the Disney film, like
I can't remember.
I don't think it was, but I'm just going back and saying, and I know we're only talking about the trailer, but we all know where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason, I mean, they introduced the two girl twins, the Lost Boys. Oh, well, you're not boys. And then extreme close up of two racially diverse twins going, so. Oh my God. Made it more powerful by not having girls in it. Do you understand what I mean? By having girls in that, you're making them as stupid as all the boys that fell out of their prams. Oh, unless they were the clever ones that jumped out of their prams. I don't know. Maybe that'll come out in the story. Because girls can't be as stupid as.
I mean, what's left for them to adapt? Because they've done The Lion King, didn't they? They did Aladdin.
Snow White's next, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. Probably. No, they've done Snow. No, I think they've done that.
Have they filmed it?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they did Snow White, but they did Beauty and the Beast as well, didn't they?
Oh, Little Mermaid's next, isn't it?
Little Mermaid. I'm just trying to think what else there is. We've had Mulan.
I think they may have filmed Snow White, but they haven't released it, have they? Because that was one old Peter Dinklage was up in our. No, I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, no.
He was
but then what does this say moving forward? So they've done all these animated classics. They've then redone them at certain points, and they've done them all in live action. Once they've done them all in live action, where do they go?
I don't care.
Because and this is the thing. It's leave your classics alone because they're classics and they're loved. Come up with something new.
Like Lightyear.
But give us something new. Give us something new that's a good story.
You can imagine at the top, can't you, on the top floor, these corporations going,
we finally come up with something.
Yeah. and they put this idea in front of them. They go, oh, that sounds good. We need some new ideas, guys, because like you've just said, moving forward, once you've rehashed all where do you go from there? Because you've got nothing to you've got no new franchises coming along. What would you say was the last big one? Harry Potter?
Yeah,
franchise that they've kind of flogging to death. I know that's not Dismal, that's Warner Brothers, isn't it? But
yeah,
flogging that with I mean, the game's just come out and done really well.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? That's made nearly £1 billion, and
they're still doing them. They're still doing them Fantastic Beast films, aren't they?
Yes.
As well?
I don't know how well they're doing, to be fair. But
no, I've never seen them. To be fair,
I think they're successfully flogging that one over at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see exactly. I see exactly what you mean. I mean, yeah, Wendy with a sword, girls from in the Lost Boys gang. I mean, it's all a joke. It's a joke already. That you can just see where it's going. You've got the diverse Tinkerbell.
Just give us something new that's good.
Diverse man. Oh, come on, guys.
But just give us something new that's good, please. That's all I'm begging. Just something new that's good, because all we're going to do is keep getting rehashes. I mean, the word reboot, we've had that so many times, and everything's just a derivative of something else, and everything's been rebooted to death. Just give us something brand new with good characters and good story. That's all I ask for.
Hurrah to that, mate. And well, that's a good place to end the news for the week as it goes, Liz.
Yeah, I think so, man.
Quite sparse, quite thin on the ground, to be fair, but I think we gave it a good. I think that was a fair analysis.
Yeah, I think so.
Each little item. So thanks for that, Gov.
No worries, man. No worries.
And well, until next week, if you're about, if the all bit coincides with me doing the news of the week, then I'll see you then.
Yes, mate, definitely.
All right, mate. Well, adios until then.
Darling.